Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're watching Greenwave TV Alternative Media Television. Before we get started today, please check out our sponsor, www.tacorack.com, America's only taco cookware. Awesome company. They've been a great sponsor of ours, and I gotta admit, I am a total convert with this product. Mexican food is my favorite food. I love it, and the taco rack is just awesome. So please support these guys. You know, support the Liberty economy. Check them out. You can go to Buy Now. Check out their products. They've got a home series and a chef series. Let me show you some of the home series here. Anything ranging from about $15 to $25, depending on the rack. Some of the more aggressive racks here, about $44. But it's just a fantastic product. It's fun, lighthearted, and these are big supporters of the Liberty Movement, and they're big supporters of me. So I would really appreciate it if you take a look and buy their product if you like tacos. We have a very big, breaking, extensive report today, and I'm excited to deliver it to you. We just finished a video, and I just put a video out yesterday. May 29th. It is May 30th, 2013 today. As many of you will be joining the chat live on air here in a moment. Put out a video yesterday titled Investigated, Are Boston and the Woolwich Attacks Connected? Are Boston and the Woolwich Attacks Connected? And I want to dig into all of this. I want to dig into about a dozen stories. Because this is really blown out into a much larger conspiracy. Let me first make sure that this is being broadcasted, that we're actually live streaming on YouTube. I want to make sure this is all working here, so let me just double check that real quick before we get started. Make sure that we've got everybody here locked and loaded and ready to go. Okay, looks like we've got a few viewers popping into the room. Sometimes there's a delay, and I'll make sure to get this up on a rebroadcast, so it'll be re-archived after the live feed. And for some reason, I'm looking at my account. I don't see the live feed. I see that it looks like we've got a few viewers stepping into the broadcast, so I just want to make sure that you can hear me correctly and that we're broadcasting eloquently and hard-hitting in your face as usual. Because this is a breaking investigative report. And sometimes it even surprises me, America. And for those of you around the world, it surprises me that I can report on this stuff. That we can dig into the research. We can do some just honest-to-God, genuine investigative reporting. And people are like, I could literally have President Barack Obama on videotape murdering congressmen and congresswomen. And half of America would be like, well, just business as usual in Washington. Like it's some kind of normal event, or this is some kind of, normal thing. So I want to make sure that this room is actually filling up here before I get started and I unload and do a diatribe. I'm dedicating about an hour here to this report. And of course, I'm going to get this rebroadcasted to all of you as well. Please share this. Invite your friends to the Google Hangout. Invite them here live. Share our content. Share our stuff. Share me. And, the bigger the collaborative effort is, the better. And this really is what investigative journalism is all about in today's new world of alternative media, which has really just become mainstream media, bottom line. And AMTV has really been at the forefront of that revolution from the very beginning. And it's very, very exciting. So let me just double check here again one more time, because I do not see the live stream up, although I see some of you now entering the room. So that's a good sign. Make sure I have all of my settings correctly here. So we should at the very least be recording this broadcast. Which gives me a little hope that this actually works. And, Google has a tendency of changing everything around on us and everything around on me every time I log on to Google. I mean, literally every time I try to do a Hangout, it took me a good half hour to just figure it out. And I'm a technology expert. It kind of makes you wonder what these people are thinking. But the story I'm digging into today, the story that we will be digging into together today, is all about Woolwich, and it's pronounced Woolwich. Some of you may have noticed we were pronouncing it kind of as a pun, Woolwich, because it's kind of been a witch hunt, but it's pronounced Woolwich. The W is silent. And we'll be digging into the investigative reporting and the homework that we've done, that I've personally done. You know, I asked the question yesterday, are Boston and the Woolwich attacks connected? And this necessarily, the report yesterday wasn't meant to rehash the entire conspiracy of Boston, because we did a ton of work on that. I dedicated a ton of time. Those videos have had millions and millions of views. And if you're interested in looking at all of that and that detailed report and coverage, please do so. Check out our video playlist on the Boston cover-up. There's about a dozen or so plus videos digging into all that information. Please share it out and get it out to the viewing public. But yesterday I'm really asking, are Boston and the Woolwich attacks connected? Because remember, Boston was on complete lockdown. Martial law. This was a test run in one of the largest American cities. And most Americans just took this with open arms. I mean, loved this shit. Loved getting their hands up. Loved the women and the children crying behind them as they were illegally searched and seized by the police department, by SWAT, by the CIA, FBI, and all these groups, locking down an entire city, special forces, an entire city to search out and hunt, a manhunt for a single unarmed individual, Jokar, who was conveniently, by the way, shot in the throat to prevent him from talking, although they say conveniently, he had written his confession. Like, we're just supposed to believe that because, we trust our government so much. They've given us every reason to trust their every move. I mean, just look how easily they were orchestrating bailouts and how they're crushing the dollar. Dick Beauvais was talking about yesterday. He's an analyst on CNBC and Wall Street. Not really a big fan of his work, but one thing he is right about, he was talking about how the dollar will legitimately lose its world reserve currency status in the next 5 or 10 years, is his take. I think it'll be shorter. I think we're looking at, 5 years. I think 5 to 10 years could happen, but it would be an outlier as the Chinese currency and other currencies, the yuan, the Japanese yen are picking up steam, picking up value. They're trading oil outside of the U.S. dollar. So, I mean, that is just abundantly, flagrantly clear that this thing is collapsing. I mean, the dollar's finished. The dollar's done. And that's almost another video. I'd like to get into that and rehash some of those fundamental points, because all of this is going to come to roost, America. All of this is going to come to roost, and you're going to pay for it. You are. It's going to come right out of your wallet, right out of your retirement accounts. So, don't plan for really anything to be there in the future. You think your groovy government pension's just going to be there waiting for you 10, 15 years from now? 20 years from now? I mean, what a joke. What an unbelievable joke. But let's dig in to this investigative report, Boston and Woolwich. What set me off? What created the synapse to start firing in my mind that said, hey, I got to do a story on this? Because again, we've reported on this. We've reported on the insanity of these individuals using meat cleavers in broad daylight, allegedly beheading a British soldier, allegedly Islamic extremists. And I'm going to get into all this in a minute. But what really tipped me off to this was, and you can see here, I'm looking at an article. Let me screen share here for all you to see. See if I can get there. You can see here, this is Press TV. Suspicious death of 2 FBI agents creates controversy. So this is one of the tip-offs that warrants to me as a thinking critical person, as an investigative reporter, that look, this doesn't smell right. There's been a number of things that don't smell right. I'm going to go through all the details here in a minute. But we have two well-trained Federal Bureau of Investigation FBI agents who are directly involved in the killing of a Boston bombing suspect, of the recent Boston bombing suspect, have suspiciously died. They're dead. Routine training exercise. The FBI said in a statement that 41-year-old Christopher Lorek and 40-year-old Stephen Shaw were killed on May 17th, not too long ago, just a few days ago, as they fell out of a helicopter into water during a training mission off the coast of Virginia Beach. How convenient! How convenient that these two FBI officials would die during a routine training exercise that happened to be directly involved in the investigation of this latest suspect that was shot and killed, another unarmed individual. Jokar was unarmed. Remember how they originally told us that the firefight that we saw on YouTube, was a firefight where, Jokar was shooting back? No, that was a lie. That was total bullshit. Came out police department later, Obama officials said no, he was unarmed. So they literally unloaded, they had dozens and dozens of special forces units there at the time, SWAT, etc. Literally open fire, dozens and dozens, hundreds of rounds probably, unloading in a suburban street in Boston, one of America's largest cities, at an individual that didn't even have a weapon, didn't even have a gun. And then, of course, we see the images. We've seen the image of him getting out of the boat. We reported on that, and then he's conveniently wounded in the throat. They say maybe he shot himself, but again, that doesn't really jive with the truth narrative. We definitely got the official narrative, which is the liar narrative from the federal government. They lie to us about everything: Gulf of Tonkin, September 11th, the 2008 financial crash, Boston. So it's pretty unbelievable, but really what started to tip me off that, look, this is just definitely doesn't smell right, is this latest report and confirmation that we have two FBI agents dead, whacked. How convenient. Another report here from Global Research. FBI agents killed in Virginia were investigating the Boston bombing. You can take a look here at the pictures. You can see here 2 FBI agents died in a fall from a helicopter in Virginia this week. Days later, it has emerged that these agents were involved in the arrest of Jokar Tsarnaev, a suspect, the all too familiar suspect here in the Boston Marathon bombings, the younger brother who was shot in the throat conveniently so he can't talk. During a training mission in Virginia, 2 FBI agents were killed after falling from a helicopter into the water. 41-year-old Christopher Lorek and 40-year-old Stephen Shaw both belonged to an experienced hostage rescue team that was involved in the arrest of Boston Marathon suspect Jokar Tsarnaev. In interviews Monday, the founder of the hostage rescue team and other former special agents called the unit elite, means they're experienced, while outlining the difficult training exercises members must endure. It's the most rigorous training regimen in law enforcement probably in the world, said Danny Colson, a former deputy assistant director of the FBI who started the team 30 years ago. So it goes on and on here. And of course, everybody continues to die. SEAL Team 6, etc. Those involved in the Osama bin Laden raid, which never happened, which is just a total Hollywood staged event. Of course, they dumped his body at the back of a U.S. warship and called it a Muslim burial, even though that isn't true, to get rid of the evidence. Not a single photo to prove that he was captured, killed, shot, none of that. They're not going to release that to the public. They're going to keep that private. It's a matter of national security. And just like it's incredibly convenient that 2 FBI agents directly involved in the investigation of Jokar and the Boston bombing and the cover-up happen to be dead now. 2 seasoned, elite people, well-trained agents in a routine training exercise. Just very convenient. Again, don't ask questions. Don't ask any questions. Just trust your government and just swallow the propaganda. Swallow it deep down until you have stage 5 or stage 4 cancer. I don't even know if you can go to stage 5 cancer. I'm sure they're developing that right now via Monsanto and GMOs and all that to really kind of just, destroy your insides. As the baby boomers are finding out all too well, all that shit you've been putting into your body that the federal government keeps pushing you that is driven by monopolies like Monsanto, about 5 companies, you realize all your friends are dying of cancer around you? It's not a coincidence. Nor is it a coincidence over here that we've got 2 FBI agents dead. Not an effing coincidence, America. And again, more and more people just continue dying around this thing. People getting whacked literally every single day. The question I posed in the video we put out yesterday, how many more people got to die? How many more people dead before this story is written? You know, the way things are going with these Obama drone strikes, I could literally be live here on television with you right now and be drone striked right out of the sky in my home here in America. I could be at a coffee shop having a little tea and crumpets. I could be in Woolwich, like, hey guys, how you doing? Christopher Green, boom, done. That's what we have in America today. I mean, honestly, Rand Paul and these guys, it's great they're investigating this stuff and they're making this stand or whatever, but we're really just touching the surface of the tyranny. We're really just touching the surface of this bullshit. A direct, obvious cover-up in Boston. And in my opinion, this is all connected to Woolwich. Again, the W silent. Directly connected to Woolwich. This is all about establishing, creating a police state, implementing the control grid. I'm going to get to reports here in a minute from former MI5, the equivalent of the CIA, overseas. Some of this Remington, her comments about creating a police state. She even says literally the alternative is that if you don't tattletale on your neighbors like a baby, like that kid you want to beat up in preschool or elementary school or high school because he's a tattletale bitch, they're telling you if you don't do that now and you're not constantly on the lookout tattletaling on your neighbor because maybe he's in his garage like washing his car or something and he must be a terrorist. I mean, he's washing his car, that they're going to create a police state. Well, that's the agenda. America. That's the effing agenda, is the police state. Which is exactly why there is clear and present motive to create these types of false flag terror events like Boston, like Woolwich, like September 11th, and take it from a guy on the inside during the 2008 financial crash working as a Wall Street broker, an inside job with the stock market crash and collapse and unfolding of capital markets in 2008. Not just a guy with an opinion, was on the inside, bitches. Gone rogue, turn out to be an independent journalist that these gangbankers just can't trust. You know, it's amazing. You know, people like me, I got to look myself in the mirror every day, feel good about who I am. And you know what? I look myself in the mirror, feel damn good. Because we are on the pursuit of truth, my friends, and that's what it's about. We are on the pursuit of truth, protecting freedom, liberty at all costs, protecting this constitutional republic, and protecting you and protecting our constituency. You know, I have a responsibility to do that as well. You have a responsibility to get this information out to the viewing public. Get our video out, investigate it, our Boston and the Woolwich attacks connected. It blows my mind. Sometimes it blows my friggin' mind. At times that I will put out some of the most, in my opinion, prescient content that is mind-blowing, and people are just like, it's like they almost don't get it. Like sometimes I'm literally talking over people's heads. And I'm not a genius, believe me, but I must be so engrossed studying this stuff where I have all the evidence in front of me. It's like not just being a journalist, it's literally like being an investigator where the evidence just keeps piling up. It really is unbelievable. So please get our video out. I released this at about 5 or 7 o'clock yesterday. Let me show you here. Get it out. You know, sometimes I think you guys think just because we have such a massive audience at this stage that everybody's always sharing. Well, no, I'm counting on you to get out every single video we put out. Always share it. Always Facebook it. Always tweet it. Always get it out to your social media network. So here's the video. You see here the Kraft International guys. Again, if you want to get into the detail of that cover-up and conspiracy, what is at least appears to be connected to Chris Kyle, although I think that was probably staged, you can watch our playlist on Boston. Again, check this article out, Press TV on the 2 FBI agents. Global Research, FBI agents killed in Virginia. How convenient. You remember this story. I reported on this. I did an entire special video broadcast on it. Student falsely ID'd by Reddit as Boston bomber found dead. How convenient. Here he is. Brown University philosophy student Sunil, only 22 years old, dead in the Providence River. How convenient. I mean, he was just accused, falsely, they say. Falsely accused on Reddit, dead. Again, don't ask any questions, not suspicious at all that everybody connected to Boston is somehow dead or shot in the throat. Not making this stuff up. These are the legitimate reports. You know, it goes on and on here. Here we have Boston bomb suspect Joe Carr, Saranath pinned confession in boat. Like we're expected to believe that, oh yeah, while he was being shot at with hundreds of rounds, unarmed, he was casually pinning his confession, like, "Dear FBI, my name is Joe Carr, and yes, there's bullets whizzing by my face right now, but I'm just casually pinning a little poetry here for you for my confession." How convenient. Again, telling me this isn't suspicious. I call bullshit. Got another image here of his throat. You can see here he is. You know, this is when they took him, although there was an image of him getting out of the boat. In fact, I can show you that and prove it to you if you hadn't already seen that. Joe Carr. Boat images. So here he is, and I reported on this before. I mean, he's getting out of the boat. He's not wounded. But then suddenly, here he is, wounded with massive bullet wounds. So, doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense at all. Here we have spy on your neighbors, says former MI5 head Stella Remington. She says people who suspect their neighbors may be extremists should inform the security services because the enemy is everywhere, the former head of MI5 has said. She says that we need to be the eyes and ears. And then she goes on to say that the alternative to not doing that, the alternative to not spying on your neighbor and being the tattletale brat that most of us, if we didn't beat up on the schoolyard, wanted to, you know, your hall monitor. A lot of these guys turned out to be the cops, you know, control freaks. You know, and a lot of them are corrupt as well. But now we're creating a tattletale environment. This is from the former, it's not my words. This is from the former MI5 head, Stella Remington. This is her advice. Same thing here is going on in the United States with the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, Mr. Janet Napolitano. You know, sex change Janet. Just probably call her Jan. I mean, she loves tyranny, baby. She loves the tattletale environment. This is what these people are promoting, and liberals will be like, oh, there's no motive for any of these staged terror attacks. Like, why would the government ever do something like this? Well, Hitler did it. Blamed it on the communists, burned down the parliament building known as the Reichstag. Is Obama any different? And again, I know that's stepping on a ledge. You know, that's Hitler. Hitler, the images of Hitler and his little funny mustache. I mean, oh, that couldn't possibly be Obama. I mean, after all, he's black. And he's for the gays. He's a real liberal social mover and changer. That's right. So here we have the former MI5 head Stella Remington. Tells you to be a tattletale bitch, so go spread that out to all your friends and family if you're in the UK. Tattletale on your neighbors. See if you don't get, a black eye from your neighbor after tattletaling on him or her when they're just, simply washing their car out front. Maybe they're just got the hose out and they're kind of watering some flowers in the front or moving a planter. Could be a terrorist. Watch out for those extremists. Maybe Osama bin Laden will pop out of the planter along with Santa Claus and Donald Duck and, start doing a little dance. Can't make this shit up, America. Here we have another article, Woolwich, ex-MI5 chief warns public enemy is everywhere. More corroborating evidence. You remember this guy, gotta show you this. You remember this guy, innocent Saudi national interrogated in Boston Marathon aftermath, tells how he is still receiving death threats. Here was another one of the original suspects, who, by the way, was suddenly and conveniently deported by the Obama administration as a matter of national security. Totally innocent. And here they have him with a gun. It's interesting. There's some pictures here without a gun, and there's some pictures of this guy with a gun, but of course they got to stage it to make it look like this guy's a dangerous guy. But he was cleared and then later deported. Here's another picture of him. He's got a Saudi diplomat there with him, probably trying to represent him and protect his rights. But again, innocent. It was he was cleared, but they still deported him as a matter of national security. What is that? Doesn't pass the smell test? We had the former Brown student winds up dead in a Providence River. This guy's deported. But again, they have nothing to do with the attacks. I just want you to keep that in mind. And you've been watching CNN. Even Fox News, and, I'll tune in occasionally. It's a joke, too. The whole mainstream media is a total effing abundant joke. It really is. They're just reading teleprompters. That's all. People ask me all the time, hey, Christopher, when you do those, hard-hitting videos, those, 5-minute pieces, they're awesome, but, are you reading anything? No. I know, it's pretty unbelievable. That's just coming from my brain. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, I actually have thoughts. I'm not just reading lines to you. If we were at CNN and, I was sitting over there in my chair at MSNBC, I could deliver the teleprompter very well. I'd even kind of deepen my voice a little bit and, get a little makeup on me and, get that nice tie, make sure it's really tight around my Adam's apple. Again, does not pass the smell test. Here you go. Here's the evidence. U.S. deports Saudi person of interest. But again, I want to get into how this directly ties into Woolwich. Because again, I know a lot of you are fully engrossed and understand the Boston cover-up and the Boston conspiracy itself. Here we have another report, Obama covering up Saudi link to Boston bombing. Now, this was more recent. Sources, Ibrahim Tadashev was unarmed when FBI agent killed him. So they were just talking to him. And, they've totally propagandized him as this rough MMA fighter terrorist. And, by the way, the FBI agents, they're armed fully. He's unarmed, but they still killed him because they feared for their life. He was just unarmed, answering questions. He even made comments. Quote, he said that he was being set up. That's a quote from Ibrahim. One of his friends who was interviewed after the fact had told the Associated Press. And it told the press in general that he thought at the very least they were going to take him and put him in jail for a while, but he knew he didn't do anything, so they'd hopefully let him go. You see, they're going to kill you. How many more people have to and are going to die before this story is finished? And, it hasn't been finished yet. It hasn't been fully written. All this ties into Woolwich. All this ties into the massacre in the UK. So here we have another individual, conveniently dead, allegedly tied to the Boston bombing conspiracy. Very sad to think. I mean, here he is, picture, looks like a normal guy. Let me show you that picture if you can't see that. You never see the nice photos. The media is never going to show you a nice photo, a nice picture. Here he is with his, looks like a very lovely, nice girlfriend. I'm assuming that's his girlfriend. They only show the mean ones, They'll even Photoshop a towel on his head or some kind of Islamic extremist message across his chest. I'm just noticing here, it looks like he's got a Ferrari emblem there. So I don't know, maybe he was into cars or something. But you never get these images. You'll only get the, scary terrorist image that they're going to show with his eyes bugged out like Jared Loughner or something. Another CIA-operated, engineered event. MK Ultra attack on the American people. Play into the sympathy card of Gabrielle Giffords, and I totally have respect for what she's gone through. Obviously, she was injured, so I'm not discounting any of that she's gone through. I have respect for that. But, the media doesn't. They're going to play into the whole, tear aspect of it, and we're going to all feel bad, and it's just another reason, that they can attack the Second Amendment, go after the guns, eradicate all of our freedom. And again, this has happened time and time again throughout history. JFK didn't last too long, did he? This ties directly in to Woolwich, and this is really the biggest part of the story here. Woolwich killer I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, Laho, I don't know. The guy here, let me show you. This guy, the guy holding the bloody meat cleaver, he was offered a job by the MI5. Offered a job. I just kind of want you to think about that for a minute. MI5, the equivalent of the CIA here in the United States. In fact, let's take a look at the MI5 logo, if you haven't already seen that. I just, kind of want to educate you a little bit. MI5. Sometimes people are like, oh, Christopher, we can't take you seriously if you joke around a little bit. This shit's insane. Sometimes you got to kind of joke a little bit to make it a little lighthearted when you realize what we're really dealing with here, a bunch of just honest-to-God axe murderers in Washington and at the White House blowing up buildings and shit, running planes into the Pentagon, detonating buildings in New York City, blaming it on the Easter Bunny. Pretty insane. Blowing up bombs in Boston, meat cleaver attacks in the UK. How do you not kind of laugh at this shit a little bit? So as to not make it true. Here you can see, pretty interesting again, if you guys haven't seen this before. Take a look at it here. Here's the MI5 headquarters. Huh, interesting. You notice it kind of looks like the shape of a pyramid. Is it just me, or is that the shape of a pyramid? New World Order, NWO, Illuminati, Satan, Satanism, satanic, devil worship. You don't think we're involved in a spiritual war? Here's the emblem. There it is. Up, pyramid. How convenient. There's the all-seeing eye up there. Got a little crown here. MI5, baby. Offered the meat cleaver attacker a job. Offered this guy. Where is he? This guy. A job. They're like, hey, can we hire you? We'd love to employ your services. For what? The Woolwich attack? This is according to an interview I'm going to show you in a moment, although I played it in yesterday's video. Oh, and by the way, that friend who appeared on Newsnight, yeah, he was arrested. Another convenience for the FBI and MI5 and, the government looking out for your best interest. After all, Obama's black and he's also for the gays. He's really big on the social issues. So many changes. It's so lovely. So amazing to be in America. I've already seen the pink slips a lot of people are being issued moving down to part-time because of Obamacare, because small business and big business just can't afford it. Living in rosy lollipops. It's like a little lollipop where, homes are made of chocolate and you just kind of, bite your chocolate and you get it all over your face and gumdrops everywhere and, gays and transsexuals are just having sex with each other in the street and, certain people are into like necrophilia and doing dead bodies now. And it's like, some of them are doing their animals, dogs, cats, lizards, inanimate objects, guys walking down the street. I mean, I just say we open up the whole thing, because, it's like one small step for man, another giant leap for necrophiliacs. They were born that way after all. And I'm actually I'm for freedom and liberty on all levels. And so it's funny, I'll say certain things and people think that that's my position. And sometimes I honestly like to kind of keep you guys questioning a little bit, to think. It's my job to help promote that process. I know it's amazing. I don't read teleprompters. Little synapses are firing here in my brain. It actually kind of works here. Pretty interesting. And that's what being a libertarian is all about too, is believing in freedom, liberty, stay away from me, shrink big government, but it also means allowing things you don't agree with to take place because it's about freedom. It's not just about my individual paradigm. But here we have the Woolwich killer offered a job. Smoking gun. smoking gun, Woolwich terror killer Michael Abdaballo was asked by MI5 if he would become a spook, a friend has claimed. His friend, Abu Nasayaba, if I'm saying his name correctly, who has since been arrested after giving an interview on the BBC's Newsnight, said that his childhood friend had rejected the request. Well, we don't know that to be true or not. What we do know, at least from the friend, and that's obviously his account, but it seems like a legitimate one. I mean, watch his interview. This guy is either the best liar that I've ever seen and is able to convince somebody of anything, or it's the truth. And I think it's the latter. I believe it to be the truth. MI5s, they're offering jobs to this guy. Absolutely incredible. Also in that interview, his friend had suggested that the meat cleaver attacker had been physically and sexually abused while he was interrogated in the African country, Kenya, I believe it was. He allegedly became withdrawn and less talkative. He wasn't his usual bubbly self. Here's the guy that gave the interview. Let me show you here. Here's the guy, Abu Nasayaba, if I'm saying his name correctly, friend of the meat cleaver attacker, giving the interview. And from everything I saw, and I've watched the BBC interview multiple times, this guy is either the most talented liar in the history of interviewees, or he's telling the truth. And it appears to me he's telling the truth. And again, that's just not one part of the story. We know he was, or from at least the friend's account, he was offered a job. But I just went through all those other accounts for a reason. All the people dead. The 2 FBI agents directly connected in investigating the Boston bombing and investigating the younger brother Joe Clark, who was shot in the throat. The shooting in the throat. The student, the Brown University student, Sunil, dead in a river, a Providence River. We have Ibrahim, dead, shot, unarmed, by an FBI agent. We have the deportation of the other original accused Saudi national who was deported by the Obama administration as a matter of national security. And now we have a friend of the alleged Woolwich meat cleaver attacker killer who says the guy was offered a job by the elite MI5. Do you get this? Do you understand how big this friggin' story is? It's absolutely unbelievable. Now I'm going to show you where you can find this interview. Here's another corroborating report here. Here's another corroborating report. This is from Mail Online. Friend who claimed the Woolwich suspect was offered MI5 job is linked to banned Islamist group. Okay, well, we don't know that to necessarily be true, but it's corroborating offered the MI5 job. Again, a lot of propaganda swirling around this. Here, Woolwich suspect friend arrested after appearing on Newsnight. Here he is being interviewed by the BBC. Here's the video where he's being interviewed on the BBC. And I'm not sure if you guys are going to get sound here, but I would just encourage you to watch this yourself. But he talks about how his friend, the alleged, had become very withdrawn, how it was assumed that he was sexually abused and beaten during his interrogation session while he was in Kenya at the time, how he was approached by MI5 very aggressively. Really, they were threatening him, knocking on his door, pounding on his door, to where he, had to come out and approach MI5, and then they wanted to know who he knew and what his connections were, and then they offer him a job. And then, of course, we have this bloody meat cleaver attack. Believe me, I realize the gravity of what I'm talking about, what I'm bringing to you. I realize that the average guy just tuning in for the first time is going to be like, I can't even believe this. I mean, this would be, you're telling me that the government is killing us? Yes, I am. Your government. Government here in the States. Government in the UK. Same agenda. Same totalitarian agenda. The same people that are influencing and controlling and playing the strings of President Barack Obama, who is just a figurehead and a puppet here in the United States, are pulling the strings of David Cameron and what's going on not just here in America, but in the UK. Pulling the heartstrings. These illuminists, really they're non-illuminated. Because the truth is the light, the truth is the way. That is the righteous path. Truth at all costs. This is gut-wrenching. I mean, that's the honest-to-God truth. This is gut-wrenching. This is unbelievable information, but I have an obligation to get the truth out at all costs. You know, I assume many of you that tune in, you tune in because I give you an honest look. It's my take. Take it or leave it. It's my take. But it's an honest take. The truth, the light, righteousness, goodness. What we have all around us is we are clearly emblazoned in a spiritual battle. Forces of good and evil. Don't put it past these people. Your government is killing you. Is killing us. This is all about population control, and it's about, more importantly, control. Money, power, wealth. I talk a lot about the symptoms because I got to talk about the symptoms a lot of time to drive people into the real root causes. For example, the dollar collapse, a symptom of what's kind of happening. But it's happening. You know, people like me, people called me crazy 5 years ago. People called me crazy when I told them to get out of the stock market when I was working on Wall Street before the 2008 financial crash. Days before the event. Said I was crazy. A lot of those same people had tears boiling up in their eyes post the crash. Doesn't make me a genius. Doesn't make me somebody with a crystal ball. That was one of the big reasons I decided to actually get on YouTube. Get the word out. It wasn't just YouTube. It was just get the truth out to as many people as possible. Let you guys decide for yourself. You take this information, you do it with it what you want. But this is what I see. Take it from a guy who has dedicated his life to the study of this, who has spent hours and hours and countless hours investigating these stories and reports. I understand fully the gravity of what I'm telling you. I don't just come on here on camera and, think it's just one big entertainment fest or anything like that. This is about the truth, and it's only about the truth. Boston and the Woolwich attacks, in my opinion, are connected. Needs to be investigated further. Just like I had delivered so passionately during the Boston bombing and the Boston fallout that we needed a third independent party or an independent governing body to investigate the events itself. I mean, we owe that to the victims. I realize some of you believe that was staged. That was a Hollywood performance, and we see the images of the pants blown off. It's incredible. But you look at these killers here, allegedly. You look at these photos. This guy, friend says he was offered a job by the MI5. For what? Why would they offer him a job? Does that make any sense to you? I mean, you've got these unbelievable photos here, and you got, the other alleged killer and this lady just talking to him in the street. You've got the former head of the MI5 says you got to spy on your neighbor. How does this make any sense to you? Is this not suspicious? Why aren't we getting a formal investigation here? When there is incredible motive for these types of tragic events. Don't put it past your government. They've done it many, many times throughout history before. False flag terror events do happen. And it only comes out later in history. And although you can study that history now, people somehow don't think it happens now. They somehow don't think that it's possible that there are dictators in power today. You see the the heads of all, governments around the world, people like President Barack Obama, etc. And they don't think that stuff could happen again. They don't think we could have another world war, which we're already engaged in, by the way. Again, you don't think they're just going to let this dollar collapse over the next 5 years. 10 years, maybe an outlier. I think it'll happen sooner. You don't think they're going to let that just happen without going to war. That's all part of the game plan. You will die. You will sacrifice. You think the same government that would drop bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima and kill thousands of innocent civilians and radically change and infect their genetics over there and wouldn't kill people here at home? You don't think they would just look at it as another casualty of war? Take a look at Andrew Breitbart. Said he was going to ruin President Barack Obama, had a history of ruining politicians. Ruined, or almost ruined, Wiener. I think he ruined him, but it just goes to show you how crazy America is. He's actually running again with his big dick flaring around. Liar. Hillary Clinton. She shouldn't even have an opportunity to run for president. Her husband perjured himself in front of the American people, a felony. He should be rotting in prison. These people play by a completely different rule of law. They are a far and above where we are. This is the ruling class. You are the bitch to these people. Get it straight. You are a casualty. They could wipe out 1 million plus people in a snap, post their Bilderberg meetings, and not give two shits about you and your family. They could care less, just like they didn't give a shit when they sent millions of people into foreclosure post-2008. And millions of people lost everything, their businesses, declared bankruptcy, short sale. They don't give a shit. What did they do? Actions speak louder than words, bitch. They bailed themselves out. That's what these, and I want to say a bad word, these people did. Try to keep it a little family friendly. Get this out because this is huge. This is one of the biggest stories I've ever reported on. I told you Boston was going to be huge. It has and was huge and has been huge, and this is even bigger. And we got corroborating evidence to prove it. You get it out to the viewing public. You get it out to your friends and family. You get the truth out at all costs. I want to thank you for your time. I'm Christopher Green. You've been watching Greenwave TV, alternative media television, hard-hitting it in your face. Please support us. Support our sponsors. I'm out.